It's the next level.
Is there somewhere a lady could get a cup of coffee? You guys look like you might get down with those little pod things. Horrendous for the environment, you know?
Make your assessment, please.
Whoa. I mean, whoa.
What are you getting?
A colossal amount of CMBR.
CM.
Cosmic microwave background radiation.
We've been told the radiation is within a safe limit.
It is, for now.
Wait, what do you mean?
Shh. There are longer wavelengths superimposed over the noise here. I got it. I need a TV. An old one. Like, not flat.
Welcome back to the show, panelers. I'm Mark.
I'm Steve.
And this is a spoiler-filled podcast of Season 1, Episode 4 of WandaVision and Snowpiercer Season 2, Episode 1. So we got a twofer this week, people.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, for those of you that are interested in WandaVision, we'll be covering that first on Episode 4 of Season 1, and then the last half will be about Snowpiercer Season 2, Episode 1. So take it away, Steve. What's WandaVision Season?
So WandaVision Season 1, Episode 4, we interrupt this program. The synopsis is Monica Rambeau, tasked with a special assignment regarding sentient weapons, goes missing.
Pretty simple.
I like this short and sweet. Yeah, I mean, that encompasses what happened. But there's a whole bunch more than that. So.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of answers in this episode, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was really a lot of fun.
So, well, we're gonna move right into our general thoughts about the overall as an episode. And my thought is, I loved how they got back to the whole blipping back incident. You know, that we got that information of when everybody blipped back just after Endgame when the Hulk snapped his fingers. So it's set 3 weeks later, and we see Monica Rambeau. She comes back. Apparently she was waiting by her mother's bedside at the hospital. She comes back, and they're like, no, that's 5 years ago. You've been gone for 5 years. So we know that Wanda was blipped back due to, at the end of Endgame, we saw her involved in that battle. So this is basically her dealing with Vision's death, I'm assuming, within this whole series. Plus, we get confirmation of Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo being involved from the previous episodes that we saw in WandaVision. So we got the first 3 episodes, and we heard Jimmy Woo's voice, so I'm really happy about that. We know that Geraldine is Monica, and we have, of all things, Darcy from Thor as now a scientist. So I guess she finally figured out her doctorate, and she's a scientist, and they brought her in specifically, kind of like in Close Encounters, where they just like grab a bunch of scientists or a bunch of people and throw them in the back of a truck.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kat Dennings for me was just the highlight of this episode. Just totally amazing. I'm not, I haven't watched the Thor movies as much, so for me, it's almost like I'm really just meeting the character for the first time, because it's been so long since I saw Thor, and I don't think I ever saw Thor: The Dark World. So, it's one of those things that was really great to see her. I loved you talked about that. We got this kind of closer look at when people actually came back from the blip, because we got it really brief in Endgame, and then they jumped to 5 years later in
Yes.
Endgame, and we know that Spider-Man Far From Home is like 9 months after the blip. So we're getting those kind of perspectives of it, but to see the actual reanimation of people, the redusting, or however you want to call it, the reblipping of
Or
these
reformation,
people was,
I think.
the reformation was really, really cool. I love that we got a confirmation of the acronym for SWORD, SWORD, Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division.
Yes.
I loved it. I think one of the things that I know this is getting into points, but I loved that comment that the director made about that he was following protocols that Monica's mother had put in place for when people came back. I just thought that was a really cool, quick little line in the show, just to indicate that people were already planning for people coming back. I just thought that was a cool, optimistic way of looking at the world, because we didn't even see that, in Endgame or any of these other movies. We just saw the negativity and the people are missing side of it. So it was really cool to think that someone was thinking positively that these people are going to come back,
and was very very positive, especially about our own daughter, knowing that her daughter was going to come back. And put a contingency plan into it with her, not to send her out to space.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, because that's what sword is, or sword.
Now I got you doing it.
But, I had mentioned sword way back when. I gave you the acronym, or what it was called in the comics.
In the comics, right.
And then I gave you what it was within the MCU. Now we have that confirmation of what it was.
Yeah.
What it is now within the MCU itself. So I'm pretty glad that we kind of got that 100% information that I've been seeking out, because I talked to a lot of people online.
Well, and it's so really cool just to see these MCU characters in the TV, a TV show, and just this confirmation that all these TV shows are going to be tied into the main MCU. And I mean, can we even call it MCU anymore? We've got to find out a different name, a different word for it.
Exactly. Right? It's not a cinematic universe at this point. This is now traveling over TV at this point, or streaming.
Yeah, so we got to think of another name for
Kevin Feige, if you're out there, listen. You need to come up with a new thing.
A new thing that combines cinematic, TV, and streaming together.
Exactly. All right, well, with that, we should actually get into our top fives.
James E. Wu, FBI.
Monica Rambeau, Sword. What's the story here, Agent Wu?
I've got a witness set up down the road in Westview, and this morning it looked like he flew the coop.
Your missing person is in the witness protection program.
I have contacted known associates, relatives.
And let me guess, none of them have seen him either.
No. None of them have ever heard of him. Something seemed hinky to me, so I took the first flight out of Oakland to interface with local law enforcement, which is when I encountered a new wrinkle.
What is that?
Absolutely. Why don't you go first this week?
Sure. My number 5, well, I'm glad we are getting an outside view of Wanda and Vision's world within this particular world, even though it's a television broadcast. Now that explains the recording devices that I saw in the previous episode, and we know it's Darcy that was there because she kind of wrangled all the military, FBI, everybody at her disposal that's on site to get a tube TV, a podcasting roadcaster that's out there, all these recording devices to get all the information of what they're visually seeing. And they're only seeing it as like a television series. Yeah. And there's certain points within the episode where we saw Wanda do things where in the show that Darcy and Jimmy Woo are looking at, they're kind of like edited. And I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. This whole what we get to see here, and that goes right into my number 5, is just all the answers we got to a lot of the questions we've had. I'm not going to go into all of them because I'm sure we're going to get into some of them in our points, but it was really cool to get those answers, and we get some more questions as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, you've already mentioned the fact that it's been 3 weeks since the people returned from the blip, and Monica is the only Sword personnel who's come back.
Well, it's Shield, Sword, it's all the same thing in my opinion.
Right, I think so. I thought that was interesting that she's the first one to report, but then she said something that was interesting, and I don't know if you understand what it is. She says that one of the letters used to be creation, or she says, when did we drop the creation of it? But creation wasn't in the original Sword acronym.
No, it was not. So
what does she mean by this? Do you have any clues to what she means by this creation?
No, I do not. That astounds me. And if listeners are out there and you have an idea, let us know.
Okay.
Because leave that in our the comments below once this episode is launched, because we would really like to know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all that's all I had for really and we put it in the notes here what the comic book version of Sword is. It's right. As you said, it's Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
Correct.
Right. And then Shield is the Supreme Headquarters International Espionage and Law Enforcement Division. I remember, and this is going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I remember watching Iron Man for the first time.
And Pepper goes, that's a mouthful.
And when you hear Samuel L. Jackson say that, he says, Supreme Headquarters International Espionage and Law Enforcement Division. In my head, I immediately went, that's Shield.
Yeah, exactly. We all did. I think so. Yeah. All right. So that was your number 5?
That was my number 5.
All right. Well, my number 4. Well, I'm glad that Darcy was not blipped. She was a humorous part of Thor in the first 2 Thor movies. I was a fan of those. I was not a huge fan of the first Thor movie, oddly enough. I saw that. I didn't go to the theaters. I saw it when it came out on demand or on pay-per-view or whatever it was. And then I'm like, okay, it was interesting. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people never really liked the second movie, but I do really enjoy the second movie. So I'm one of the few people out there that do enjoy Thor: The Dark World. And you do get to see Darcy once again. And she has her own assistant in that movie. So now she is not an intern or an assistant anymore, but someone that has a doctorate in that field. So I think that is amazing for the fact now they're bringing her character in the forefront. She's being part of this universe, and I just love her comedic timing. Kat Dennings is amazing. I loved her in Two Broke Girls. I loved when she was the teenager in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I just love everything that she does. She's got such great comedic timing in whatever she does. And how she loves the story within the episode, within Wanda and Vision. And the fact that shequote unquote, and this is part of my quotes, but I'm going to say it first. Yeah. And again, I'm really invested in this show.
I love that. I'm going to switch mine up a little bit because I want to talk about Dr. Lewis as well. I love that when she walks in the tent and the guy says, Miss Lewis, and she's like, Dr. Lewis, but it was, and I'm kind of close to, a little bit more about the character than I do. I've not watched enough of the other movies to be aware of her, but yeah, the humor she brought to this episode was just great. And the way when she asked for a TV and she specifically says not a flat one, her awe moment at the ending, she's got that awe moment. And I could probably go on and quote just almost everything she said in this episode, and I want to watch the episode again just to hear her quotes because she's so funny, and
she has the best one-liners, everybody. And if you haven't watched the episode, please do so. Just go back, don't listen to us, go watch it and come back.
Absolutely.
That would lead me to my number 3.
Yes,
which would be the fact that we are seeing this real time with all the agents on site, with all the old tube TVs as they were. So you could tell that they were getting scraps because you have no backs in the back of the TV. It's an old tube TV, and you actually see the CRT, just the bulb, and the whole thing in the back. So I love seeing that. We see how they are seeing it on the television, but are still so far out of range so that they don't know what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Darcy and Jimmy are invested in this story, but there's something missing within the story. Like I stated before, it's edited on their side, so they don't see when I forget her name.
Vision, when Mrs. Hart, when Mrs.
Cuts
Hart,
her hand.
Well, Dottie, right? When
Dottie cuts her hand,
right.
You don't see the blood, you don't see any of that. Then we don't see when Monica is tossed out. It kind of blips out when she goes, "Oh, you meant Ultron." But as soon as that happens, it cuts and segues away. There's certain parts where Wanda is like, it's her own world where it's a TV show to everybody else, but she's living it, but she's creating it unto herself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of edits going on there, ladies and gentlemen, so keep in mind, I think Wanda is doing these things. I don't think there's any external force at hand. I think they're responding to something that where Wanda is having, I'm not going to say it any worse than this, but she's having a breakdown, and it's her way of trying to keep Vision alive for her own sanity.
Yeah, for sure, could be. There's a lot of speculation in that. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who's doing the. I'm not 100% sure that Wanda's the one doing the editing of the actual broadcast that is being put out there.
Yeah.
So this brings me into my number 3, which is actually my number 4 because I switched things up. But is the selective amnesia of all these people around Westview, but not just the people around Westview, because Agent Wu says that even the known associates of his protected witness that is missing, they don't remember the guy. The cops, they're setting.
Is it a guy though? That's the question.
Yes, he said he used the pronoun he.
He. Okay,
I believe. Yeah, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow.
That Jimmy Wu said he.
Is it Herb?
I don't think so. I think it's somebody we haven't seen yet. Because I think Jimmy, because you would think when he was putting him on the board, he would have identified, oh, this is my missing witness, but he didn't. None of the names that they put on the board.
Okay.
Did he say we're the missing witness? So, but like the cops, they're not even seeing the huge billboard that is right there in front of them. And then Agent Wu says he gets a feeling that no one's supposed to go in there. And that's, if that's what Wanda's power is doing, that's impressive. That's impressive on a huge, that's reality stone bending.
Literally, because,
stuff.
Well, she had the Mind Stone at one point in her grasps. And Ben, who is head of the Next Level Podcast Network, you and I, Ben, and a bunch of friends did a live watch of this, and Ben has a lot of thoughts, and I'm hoping Ben would actually come on soon, so that way he could vent his thoughts too, because he's got really good insights on this too as well. But yeah, if you think about it, she had control over trying to get that Mind Stone out of Vision at the time when Thanos was trying to get it from him. And then Thanos did the whole switcheroo and just went back in time and it just plucked it out of his head. And I think within that, during that time when she was trying to pull it from Vision to destroy it, she absorbed some of that power to some degree. Could be. But those are my thoughts.
Yeah. I'm just, if she's doing it all by herself, it's very impressive. Is it, because this is a huge scale of this. I mean, disappearing a whole town, changing reality, changing people. She when she throws Geraldine through those walls, she then puts them back together.
And how did Monica live through that? Come on, she went through walls.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, we haven't seen we know that she lives because she opens her eyes, but we haven't seen yet what's in the next episode, what her injuries are, or if she has injuries.
Yeah. That was your number 3?
Yes, because I switched up a little bit. So now we're on to your number 2.
Oh, okay. Well, my number 2 would be the fact that we see Vision dead in one scene. Wanda left her guard down. I think she created Vision within this world, but there is something that is preventing her from creating it in the real world. Or maybe it was just something that she just remembered of the real world and saw Vision as he was when she last saw him physically. So I'm really thinking that Wanda wants him back and wants him in the real world, and she created this world within this bubble, as it were, and now we're getting all this this realism, and he's becoming more and more aware if you think about it.
Yeah, he's definitely showing some more awareness, because it edited when he was starting to get some awareness, and then it edited again. So that's why I'm not sure who's doing these editing, but
yeah, it makes me wonder if there's an outer force that's involved, or somebody within that world that is doing something. Right. I kind of brought it up before, like with comics, with Mephisto and everything else, but I'm ready to throw that aside and say something else is at hand. A lot of this has to be within Wanda herself, but and then we have to move towards, and I'll go into my other notes about the other people that were in hand. I think we brought them up last week, but we'll move on to yours.
Yeah, so my number 2 is, it's pretty quick, but it's one of the things that I thought, and I heard the guys, I listened to a little bit of the guys on TV Podcast Industries talking about this episode, and it's one of the things they mentioned, that there was stuff that we saw Dr. Lewis watching that we haven't seen. So there's more episodes going out than just the 2 that because you remember they show a clip of her watching with Wanda in the foreground, and in the background you can see Geraldine sitting on a park bench, and then you see the pregnant Wanda and she's talking with someone else, and we don't have any sound on that, but that's a scene we never saw.
That is
in any of the episodes we had. So that's telling me that Dr. Lewis is seeing more than what we're seeing, and we're seeing more than what she's seeing because of the editing that's going on. So that's why I'm not really 100% on Wanda is the one sending this broadcast out. I almost wonder if it's, yeah, it could be a byproduct of her power, but I don't know. These are questions that we've got.
We got so many questions. I feel like the Joker in Batman Forever. Got so many questions. So many questions. Sorry, Jim Carrey, I didn't make a good presentation of your or interpretation of your character, but sorry. That would lead me to my number 1. And I really think Wanda is aware of the world that she created within that world. Anyone that is wanted, she get kind of, anyone that is not wanted, I should say, is pretty much shucked aside. She could, I hate saying it this way, but she could smell a fart in a car, because literally she shucked out Geraldine in a heartbeat.
Right.
Because as soon as she heard Ultron and those words, she got rid of Geraldine right away. But she's starting to see all these imposing things that are coming in from the outside world. You got the guy who was the beekeeper, who is literally in a radiation suit, and we saw the the rainbow style jump rope that he wound up leaving behind, and they all looked at it confusing, going, oh, okay, this is a byproduct of this particular world, but it's in color there in their world. There's a lot of things that are going on within this that we don't know, and what she can control and what somebody else may be influencing to some degree. But I really think there is somebody else out there that is intervening to some degree. And my suspicions are still there, though. I really think I'm still curious about Agnes. I'm still curious about Herb, because they seem to understand something that Wanda doesn't, and they tried to get Vision to understand it as well, but they kind of got shut off really quick by Wanda.
Yeah, that's all. I don't know, man.
It's all speculation
that we're getting at this, and because Herb is, all the pictures they put up on that board had driver's licenses except for Agnes's. They didn't have an ID for Agnes, so they knew who everybody else was and what part they were playing. They're like, oh, this is this guy's real name and he's playing Herb. Yes. And this is this couple's real name. They're playing the Hearts, so, but they don't know Agnes. And I think Dottie maybe as well, they weren't sure about.
Yes.
But yeah. So there's just, as many, like I said at the beginning, as many questions that we got answered in this episode, we've just opened up a whole ton of more questions.
Yeah. It's an Easter egg. I guess we should have just binge watched this whole thing and watched it as a whole movie.
So I'm still on the fence about whether Wanda's the one doing the editing or not. I don't think she is. Maybe she is. My number one really boils down to just real simply. I love that the show kept the theme of a kind of sitcom outside of the bubble without the laugh track though, because we had that whole conversation between Jimmy Woo and Dr. Lewis where she's like where they're talking about the kids and she says want one and he thinks she's talking about babies but she's talking about the chips. We have all of her one-liners, when we're in the truck and they're all introducing themselves and the first guy says, well, we're not supposed to talk to each other, and then after everybody else introduces themselves he says, well, I'm a chemical engineer, and she says nobody cares. I mean, it's just all that they kept that theme up outside of the bubble was really great. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So we're on to notes?
On to notes, I think, yeah.
All right. You want to start with yours? You have a ton more than I do.
I do. I'm not sure, and maybe we have a similar one here, but I don't know if Monica, and this is what I'm trying to figure out. It's probably the same thing with the townspeople. Is are they being controlled? Was Monica? Let me focus on Monica.
Go ahead.
Was Monica being controlled by Wanda while she was in there, and she had a moment of clarity when Wanda mentioned her brother and Monica said Ultron's name, or was that a slip? Was Monica faking the whole time and she slipped up and said Ultron, and that's what got Wanda to throw her out? I'm not sure, and so I'm a little confused.
Yeah, same here. I have that same feeling for the fact that they all looked at that footage of her on the park bench, and she's just sitting there, and they're like, well, why is she just sitting there? And then they skip to the next scene where she talks about Ultron, and then Wanda dispatches her.
Yeah. Well, and she seemed confused when she was talking about Ultron.
Exactly. And I think you're correct in stating that they have moments of clarity at certain points. Think about it with Dottie with the cutting of the hand, or Agnes and Herb when Herb, of all things, is cutting through that brick wall.
Right.
And then Agnes and Herb are trying to explain, so they must have came to some sort of moment of clarity, and they're going to try to explain it to Vision. And whereas with Monica, she, as Geraldine, was trying to explain, it's like, oh, but Ultron killed your brother.
Right.
And then it just made Wanda snap because somebody broke through. And it makes me think, the rest of the residents within that community have the same thing where they're being controlled? Because in the previous episodes, it's all about the child. It's all about the child.
Right.
It's all
for
about
the children.
Child, for the children.
Yeah, for the children.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, oddly enough, she had a child. So there must be some sort of outer force that's involved with this within Wanda's world that's creating this. And that's how she was able to have the children.
Right.
So I'm curious as to what it is, who it is, and who, what they are. But with Agnes trying to give that information along with Herb, and her not having an ID on the outside world, I'm curious if, maybe somebody, you said it was a he, maybe they meant it was a she, and they didn't really want to say anything, and Agnes was really the person that was in witness protection,
It's possible. I've got to go back and rewatch both the last couple of episodes because I just want to get more clarity. Myself. But so the rest of my notes are all really pretty quick, and some of them are just funny. I thought it was a little redundant to say sword response base. Why don't you just say sword base? I love that they mentioned Air Force Office of Special Investigations. OSI doesn't get enough love in movies and TV, so I absolutely love it. Being an Air Force retiree, I actually love that. And then my last two, we've already talked about the fact that Dr. Lewis is the one who's watching, and we find out we find out where the colorized helicopter came from, that it was the drone. And then you already talked about that quick vision of the Vision being all gray and dead. So
a pretty cool thing about the OSI, though, if you remember it in the original Wonder Woman series with Linda Carter, OSI was very prominent in that show.
Yes, it was. Yep.
But we already went into what I was going to bring up regarding Herb and Agnes, and trying, it was my speculation of, are the people in the town aware of what's going on, or those people that came in afterwards? Because as we saw in the previous episodes, the previous episode with the police officers just outside, and they were of east instead of west.
Yeah, he said, no, we're from Eastview.
Yeah, exactly. But they did a whole turnaround and they left, and
Yeah.
they were oblivious and had no thought of everything, but they didn't even have a moment of clarity at that point.
Right. That's what I'm saying is it's her powers it's strange that the people in the outside world are pretty clear, but
Exactly.
like Jimmy and Darcy know about Westview, and they know, and like I think Jimmy Woo made this statement. Maybe it's because, or it may have been Darcy. One of them said, or Monica, or no, Darcy, no, Monica. It was Monica. One of them said maybe it's only people that have a personal relationship with the people inside the bubble that don't remember them. So we're gonna have to see going forward what's next. So
yeah, like I said, if we did a whole binge of the show, which unfortunately we can't do because it's Disney Plus and they're doing these episodes
1 week at a time.
1 week at a time,
just like the way TV was meant to be watched.
Exactly. So that's why we do it. So we're having fun with this one. So I'm really enjoying the fact that we actually get to. You don't have to binge watch it and then go back and then just not spoil anything for later episodes.
Exactly.
So with that, we're gonna move into quotes. So you had a few.
I did. So and mine are, I've already done one of mine. So I'll start. My first one was Jimmy Woo when he says, "So you're saying the universe created a sitcom starring 2 Avengers?" It just and the way he delivered that line it made it so much funnier even.
Well, and the fact that, too, it's like that one little scene that I really did enjoy with Jimmy because it's a callback to Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the whole card trick with his business card to Monica at the very beginning. And that's something you see in Ant-Man and the Wasp because he brings it up to Paul Rudd's character. It says, "Oh, you know how to do magic? Can I learn?" He goes, yeah I spent like 15 to 25 hours online learning how to entertain a 10-year-old. So that was a comeback and a callback, which I love for this show because they're responding to the MCU itself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm really enjoying that and the fact that we get these little snippets.
Yeah.
So the one that I have already mentioned, Agent Wing says, "Are you crying?" And then Darcy goes, and she wipes the tear, goes, "I'm invested in the show."
Yeah, that was great. And my last one, like I said, I've already said the one, but my last one is just, again, it's another line from Dr. Lewis where she says, "So I had your goons pick me up a sweet vintage TV." So that was great. She's so anti against these guys that she calls them out for not having any information and all that. I just love her. I can't wait to rewatch this episode again.
Yeah, she's a trip in it, and she makes the actual episode, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so those were our thoughts on WandaVision Season 1, Episode 4. So we're going to be moving on to Snowpiercer Season 2, Episode 1, The Time of Two Engines.
Hey, Jupiter. Hey. Easy, girl.
She remembers it. I was half hoping she would eat you.
Wow. Your train has dimmers.
You like her? Old Alice has done everything we've asked of her and more. Not exactly the plan, though, was it? Come closer. Come on. And see what the years have done to you.
So for those of you who are not following Snowpiercer, you guys could really skip out. So we're going to move on to Snowpiercer Season 2, Episode 1, The Time of Two Engines. So the synopsis for this episode is Mr. Wilford has arrived, and this new threat rattles Snowpiercer to its core. Melanie makes a move that can't be undone. Very short and sweet, very much like what we got from WandaVision, and I really do enjoy this. So what are your general thoughts?
The first time I watched it, I thought it seemed really slow to me. And I kind of wish I'd watched season 1 again just to have everything in my head, but I didn't get a chance to. And it seemed to me like Melanie was outside for a really
long
half
time.
the show.
Yeah.
But then on my second watch, I realized that really she boards Big Alice at 10 minutes into the episode. So really she wasn't outside very long at all. She just did a lot while she was out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to talk about some of that in our top 5s.
Yeah, well, just like you, I love the opening minutes, and yeah, I had to go rewatch the last episode of season 1, and I love the moving comic transition in the very beginning, just like we did within the first season, and it basically just brought us up to speed. You know, we see Melanie stuck outside where we last saw her last season on the last episode, and we get the explanation of what happened to her, because we were left to believe that she was going to die. But they kind of scrambled. There's a few things, little Easter eggs based upon even the movie itself, if you think about it, because we covered the movie, and it had to do with snow and it being too cold. So we're going to go into that when we get into our top 5s. So with that, we'll move into our top 5s.
Jack Frost, get a few nips in.
Your shoulder. Yes. A little bird told us you've been long-nipped, too.
Alex?
Oh. Let's take a look.
Open?
Oh, there's a bit of business. Lovely. Oh,
Cryopathy.
lovely.
Cough, please.
Sure. So my first one really is just that crazy list of things that Mr. Wolford had them get. He's like 6 eggs and 1 hen, a 6-pack of Brakeman's ale, and they had 12 minutes to get it, I guess, because of the whole, when the train is stopped, they can only be stopped for so long before they're all going to die. But the one that confused me, and I kept trying to pause it and read it, but I could never figure out what that barrel was that they strapped onto Strong Boy's back, and he ran through the cars to get it back to Big Alice. And then, when the Big Alice guy looks at it and he gives a thumbs up to Alex that it's the right thing, but I never figured out what that stupid steel barrel was. I mean, everything else they asked for kind of made sense. Mr. Wilford's trying to figure out what supplies they still have, so he asks for an orange, he asks for produce because the ag car is still working. He asked for eggs because the animal car, that car is still working. He asked for the Brakeman's ale, that means their beer brewer is still alive, and then he wants his scotch and all that stuff. And then the only thing they didn't get was the morphine, but they go ahead and start pulling the train anyway.
Yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
And at least they got some of what they needed.
Yeah.
Well, my number 5 would be how Melanie's daughter is so mean to the people within Snowpiercer, and her obviously list of demands within 10 minutes time frame, that they had to get it. Then we get Melanie's rescue from the cold within underneath the car. The effects I thought were really great within this episode. It just showed the magnitude of the trains, both Big Alice and Snowpiercer, but the fact that they're at a halt.
Yeah.
The trains need to be in motion at all times for people to survive.
Well, I get the impression that Snowpiercer has to be on the move all the time. I don't think Big Alice does. I think Big Alice is okay for stopping for certain amounts of time. That's the impression I got anyway, because nobody in Big Alice was worried about
stopping
about stopping.
Yeah.
Any time they stopped, because they stopped twice.
But they gave them a 10-minute time frame to get all that stuff. So time must have been a construct, so they couldn't have been stopped for too long.
Well, they knew Snowpiercer, because Snowpiercer only had so long.
Yes,
it would still survive. So that's where the time limit came in. I don't think the time limit was for Big Alice. The time limit was for Snowpiercer, because I don't know, but I'm right with you. It was crazy. It was a crazy opening.
Oh yeah.
But it was great. My next point is just Melanie getting on Big Alice and finding out they let her on. They have to disinfect her. I love how she recognizes the guy who shocks her with that cattle prod, but she doesn't recognize the other person. And then the whole thing with the dog named Jupiter that I think Sean Bean says something like, I think I've got it in my quotes what he says about the dog, but then the dog won't let Melanie go near Alex. So the dog was very protective of Alex, but he still was okay with Melanie until Alex came in the room.
Well, Mr. Wilford actually mentioned how, he remembers you. And if he didn't remember her, he would have killed her.
Yeah, I've got it in my quotes. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, exactly. He's an attack dog. So
yeah, but the fact that, but as soon as she tried to go towards Alex, then that's when the dog started to be very
aggressive.
Aggressive and protective towards Alex, showing that Wilford has a stronghold on Alex herself.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my number 4, which would be Alex's attitude toward her own mother. Mr. Wilford made Alex feel that Melanie abandoned her and everyone else and took Snowpiercer for her own. Whereas Alex, she tried to plead with Alex saying, I told your grandparents to go get you, and they didn't make it apparently. But she kind of abandoned everything and moved on thinking that Alex was dead. But apparently Wilford saved her and did all this and then manipulated Alex, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, he's been raising her for however long these trains have been running. He's raising her and telling her all these horrible things about her mother. And now Melanie can't even convince her otherwise. But it's going to be interesting, the interactions between them the rest of the season, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So my next one is just the conversation between Melanie and Wilford before Alex got there, her asking him, how did he survive? How did he catch up to them? And she's like, because she knows his ego isn't going to let him not tell her how he caught up with them. And then we find out that there's this original test track that goes over the Rocky Mountains. And that's how he was able, he says, I waited, we were hiding out for months in some supply shed, waiting for you to get out of satellite range before we started our rotations. And then, and then we found out this track across the Rocky Mountains. He was able to switch to it. And that's how he was able to catch up with him and then catch him there at the end. And Melanie even says that he knew that she would run Snowpiercer too fast until the point when Snowpiercer would break down and Big Alice would be able to catch her, And then, of course, Alex comes in and lets him know what's going on with the leadership of Snowpiercer. She says she knows who Roche is, but she says the blonde lady from Hospitality. And so she knows some of the people that have been described to her. I've obviously been described to her by Wilford. But she doesn't know everything. She says the Hospitality is still in their uniforms. It looks like the brakemen are still running things, but there's some guy named Leighton who's in charge and all that. So
yeah, and he doesn't even know what a tailie is.
Well, they wouldn't have any clue what a tailie
exactly
is. I love that when Melanie uses that term and he's like, what? And then he asks Alex, do you know what a tailie is? And she's like, no.
Yeah. It shows what two worlds they are from at that point, too.
Exactly.
Well, my number 3 would be, they treat Andre's girlfriend a little differently now that she is pregnant. They think I think in some degree they think there's going to be some sort of favoritism, and it's going to move either against or for Andre because he's leading these people. But apparently it'll be the first conceived baby on Snowpiercer, and it puts Andre in a position with everyone that is under his command, which kind of sways a lot, and I'm curious as to where that's going to lead.
Yeah, I've got some of this in my next point as well. So
good.
Okay, so my next point is Ruth Wardell, Allison Wright. She was so, like in the first season, I think we acknowledged how great her character was great and she was playing it really well. But this episode, for sure, I really just loved how she plays this character of Ruth. That you can see that she has this compassion and concern for all the passengers, even to a certain extent. Now that the revolution has happened, the tailies are now she's considered them part of the passengers as well.
Yes.
And you already talked about that when she finds out that Zara is pregnant, she changes, her whole demeanor changes toward towards Zara. I mean, those two guys were trying to assault Zara because of the death of the one woman who got killed
Yes.
last season. But when Ruth finds out that she's pregnant, she's like, no, we've got to protect her. And then she takes them to that suite, that one car she said, Leighton asked whose car was this? Who are we displacing to get such great treatment? And Ruth says, well, it was a couple in their 80s who took cyanide when the Tailies took the train. And so she wants it to be used. And she said, somebody might as well live in it because it's here.
Meaning it was abandoned and nobody was ever using it.
No, yeah. Well, it's only been abandoned for a few hours.
Well,
the Tailies just took the train, so it's not like it's sat empty for a long time.
Well, that is true.
All right, but it would have if she hadn't moved Zara and Leighton in there.
Yeah.
And I love that when they capture Kevin, they know all about each other, and it was really cool to see that these people, even though it's been years since they've seen each other, they still kept these ties and kept this information and knew what was going on.
Yeah, I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
My number 2, well, I really like the second skin that the doctors use on Melanie to help her with her severe frostbite.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was used on that guy that walked through the extreme cold when the freeze was coming into the car when he attacked all the Tailies during that time. Yeah. Remember, he just walked through it and everybody goes, that was negative 32 degrees. He walked like it was like nothing.
Yeah.
It seems like Big Alice has a lot of experimenting going on within that train, especially those two crazy weird doctors.
I had them in my notes. They were a little weird. They were definitely quirky. Let me see. What did I put in my notes about them? I just said they were quirky.
Yeah.
The Headwoods was their name. And Melanie recognizes them. She knows who they are.
Yeah.
Obviously they must have been part of Mr. Wilford's
plan.
Group. Yeah, plan or something. So yeah.
That's wild.
So that brings us to my number 1.
Yes.
I'm a little confused, and maybe you can help me out.
Sure.
What exactly was the plan for them to take Big Alice? They have no idea what's on the other side of that door. They don't know how many people they are. They think there might be anywhere between 60 and 200 is what they say.
Yes.
How did they know that he had Melanie? Did Javi? I guess Javi and the guys in the engine room maybe told them that she boarded Big Alice. And so
I know Andre was, he was in communication with the guys from the engineering area of Snowpiercer.
So that's the only thing I can think of is that they told him that she got on Big Alice, and then they just assumed that she wasn't able to get on in secret. I mean, it seems logical that they would have her. I just wish we had gotten some kind of confirmation about how they knew for sure, and the whole thing at the end, they still have Kevin, and Wilford still has Melanie. So I'm confused about what this plan was.
Yeah, it's kind of like a deterrence thing, kind of back in the day when I have more firepower than you do. And the only thing that Alice would have would be more power to move the train faster. And that's my understanding. There's nothing really more unless they have all the scientific knowledge.
It just, like I said, I even watching it the second time, I'm watching it going, they're just gonna run through the door and try to get through 40 cars they have no clue
of who's behind there. Yeah. All these mutant people like that guy with all that skin.
Yeah, it just seemed like somebody didn't really think it through.
No.
They were somehow thinking that they were just going to be able to shock and awe their way.
Well, it kind of leads me to my number 1, which pretty much it seems that they're all kind of scattered. Andre and his crew don't know anything about Big Alice and what they have. Apparently they have weed.
Yeah.
But what else than the weird doctors and the power of Big Alice do they have that they are aware of? Mm-hmm. Apparently Wilford longed for what Snowpiercer had, which was the supplies and pleasantries that he longed for, because apparently Big Alice doesn't have those things.
Right.
So both are at odds that have someone in their favor to negotiate in some respect. I wonder if we get more information next episode where they come to an agreement while Wilford takes over Snowpiercer.
Yeah. And let's talk about Sean Bean for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Man, how good is he in this?
He's amazing in whatever he does.
He is. But just just the subtleties of just the subtleties of how he played Mr. Wolford was so good in this episode that just you could like there's tension, there's suspense. You can tell there's more going on beneath the surface
Oh,
of
definitely.
him. And I love how Miss Audrey tells all of them, and like he even remembers Miss Audrey because when he gets the scotch, he's like, "Oh, thank you, Miss Audrey."
Yeah.
Miss Audrey tells all of them not to be fooled, that Wilford may look like he's wanting to help them and wanting to but no, he wants their souls, is what she said. He wants control of them. And so it's going to be interesting to see this guy and kind of compare and contrast the way he played it and the way
Andre and Melanie are doing it.
Oh no, I meant the name of the actor is escaping me. Ed Harris, the way Ed Harris played
in the movie.
In the movie,
yes.
It's going to be interesting to see the rest of this going forward.
Well, this is supposed to be years before that particular movie.
Right.
So.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that still the portrayal of Wilford is interesting.
Yeah, he is power hungry. You could definitely see that in the way he was talking.
And we definitely, I mean, this movie confirms this episode confirms for us that the show is separate from the movie.
Oh, definitely.
There's not any correlation. I mean, there's probably small correlations,
similarities to it.
Similarities, but it's a completely separate.
It's probably more truer to the actual comic from France that they had.
I wish I had picked that up. I didn't.
I read the first, which is basically pretty much the whole introduction of what we see within the series.
Okay.
So it's very interesting to read in comparison to what we do actually see in the first season. But my recommendation to you listeners, if you're really interested in that idea, go out. You could get them on Amazon now. I haven't gotten the last few books, but there's a precursor to season 1, which is really cool. So with that, we should move on to notes.
Sure. You got one there, and I think it's similar to mine.
Well, Melanie's vision of snow when stuck on the floor when she's laying on her back, she sees a snowflake come over her visor and grab some snow from the ground. It's too cold to snow outside, even though there is snow on the ground and everything is frozen.
Yeah.
And then she gets on Big Alice. It's like she even states it. It's too cold for it to snow.
That's what Javi tells her. He tells her it's too cold to snow anymore. But I think my speculation on this is I think the Earth is warming back up.
Correct.
So
yeah, and that's what we got from out of the movie at the very tail end of the movie because people wouldn't be able to survive outside in that extreme cold. And at that point, it was probably within its 30s or whatever.
Yeah. So most of my notes we've already talked about. We mentioned Pike and his drug deal, the fruit for weed. The only thing I've got,
Stephen Ogg was great in that, though.
Oh, he is. I had totally forgotten both times when I watched it, and actually the second time even, I had totally forgotten about the explosive and I realized it on the second viewing. I went back actually yesterday and I started to watch it for a third time. And when I watched it the third time, I understood then what was going on because she says to Javi, I'm going to blow the uplink so that you can get control of the helm and environmental back. And he says, oh, you have a sticky charge. And she says, yeah, but I just have one. And then she uses her axe to cut and destroy the uplink.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's what cuts the uplink. And then she crawls under the train and we don't see exactly what she does. She just tells Javi she has more to do. And it's not until the end of the episode that we discover what she was doing under the train was that she took that explosive charge and she put it on the coupler between the two
to break
trains.
Them. Yep.
No, to fuse them.
Oh,
because remember, that's what she was telling Alex, don't do it. Don't disconnect the trains. She was trying to get Alex not to disconnect the trains. But as soon as Alex did, she goes, what happened? And she says, I told you when you built this that you over-engineered that coupler and that anything happened when you tried to disconnect the trains, they would be permanently put together. And that's why at the end, she says, "We're now permanently connected." Because that explosion fused the coupler together. So it's an interesting kind of thing to look at, because she tells Alex not to disconnect the trains, and Alex goes ahead and tries to disconnect it. So she disobeys her mom to obey Wilford, but then ends up doing what her mom wanted
in the end,
which is for the trains to stay together. Yeah, I thought that when I put all that together, I really figured out how cute it was.
Which really means, cool. If you think about it, they're all stuck together regardless within this whole.
At this point now, they're going to have to learn to work together.
Exactly. So that's where the season is moving forward to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. So we got some quotes.
Yes.
So my first one is just that in that monologue that Leighton has at the beginning of the episode that I thought was so cool was one of the quotes. He says, "Hope was our only seedling in the war of Big Alice, 40 cars strong, versus Snowpiercer, 994 cars long." And I got chills listening to that whole monologue.
Well, one I would have would be, this is from the lady at the bar when Andre asks for Mr. Wilford's favorite bourbon. And she goes, "This is just the beginning, Andre. He's going to take everything he can. Just watch."
Yeah, I think that was Miss Audrey.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So then the other one, the second one I have is that quote we were talking about, the dog, that Wilford says, "She remembers you. I was half hoping she'd eat you."
And the last one I would have would be Wilford saying, "Now, what is a tailie?" And that was Wilford is completely unaware of the society that was built on Snowpiercer, because he was not involved with that. So this is a whole new world for him. And now with both of them being fused together, he's going to have to learn that the hard way.
Exactly. So then my last one is just when she's giving when Ruth is giving Leighton the mic to make his train announcement. She says, "Well, speak your truth. That's how they seem to trust you."
It is true.
I love her accent, and I love just the way she's doing this character. It's really good.
Kind of that English-Irish mix. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we have no comic news. I would love to give you guys full of news, but I've been a little lax because of, I'm sorry, well, there was like, unlike, like Snowpiercer, we had a snowstorm. So, but we do have some podcast recommendations. So, Steve, what is yours?
The only one I've got, and I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, I've been so busy this week, it's actually last week now. Last week's Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum had Katie Sackhoff, who I absolutely love. Katie Sackhoff. She was in The Mandalorian season 2. She was in Longmire. She was in the reboot of Battlestar Galactica that was a few years ago.
Yep.
So she's really great. She's in a Netflix show as well that's really good. And I think they're actually filming.
Nope.
Or they may have wrapped.
They've wrapped. Yeah.
They've
Another
wrapped
Life. Yeah. Another Life season 1 is on Netflix. I suggest everybody to watch that. I would love to cover that on Adrenaline Cinema if I can. Yeah, season 2 is coming up soon on Netflix, so check that out if you can. So I got to listen to this particular episode of Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You, so I thought it was really cool. Katie was really very relaxed, very understanding, just being herself, who she was. And when she posted it on Instagram within like an hour or something, because her Instagram is filled of just being who she is, being fun and laughing and doing strange things. I asked her, I said, "Did you talk about poop on this?" Pooping. And she goes, "No." Just laugh out loud. "No, I have not." Of all things. Thank you, Mark, for pointing that out. I was like, good. At least somebody pointed out me paying attention to what she says on her YouTube channel, because she likes to have fun and talk about those things. The one that I have would be The Thing with Two Heads with Sean Clark and Christopher Nelson. And they had Tom Atkins on, who you will remember from The Fog, Halloween 3, and Escape from New York. Tom also was in Creepshow a long time ago, the movie. And they're really a fun-filled podcast from two guys that love horror movies. And Chris can be seen in the beginning of Kill Bill Volume 2 as one of the cronies. So he's one of Bill's cronies in the very beginning during the church scene when they go after the bride. And he's a special effects artist and actor in Hollywood. Right now, Chris is out in Australia filming a movie. I think he's doing effects for it. So he got out of quarantine and he's enjoying Australia. And I guess they have check-in points, and it's amazing. So he's having fun. He goes, I love the idea. All I have to do is put my phone here, QR code saying where my check-in was. Don't have to wear a mask. I could do whatever I need to. Meaning that Australia is really hard on what they have to do when it comes to isolation and narrowing everything down with the pandemic. And it's pretty cool because he gives a lot of insight, too, within the podcast of what he had to deal with. So with Sean, Sean is an agent to a lot of celebrities for conventions all around the United States. And I've crossed Sean and I crossed our paths over the past 26, 27 years. And I've let him cut in front of me in conventions to get online for a celebrity autograph or something. So I did not know about him until about 2010 and didn't realize that he is an agent for celebrities and he has his own company. Now with the conventions not being out there and everything is virtual, he doesn't really have much of a job, but he started doing this podcast, his YouTube channel, which is the thing with two heads with Sean and Christopher. But yeah, they have a lot of fun with what they do. They got a lot of people involved. They do live YouTube watches. So Sean could also be seen on Horror's Hallowed Grounds, and that is a cable TV show that is out in California, but you could also see those on YouTube as well. And they go to filming locations of certain horror movies, and it's pretty cool. And it's really interesting to watch those. And I mention that to Sean a whole bunch of times every time I see him because I just love what he does.
Very cool. And this is the same Tom Atkins that was in Lethal Weapon.
Correct.
So
yeah.
I was looking that up as you were, because I think he was in Lethal Weapon also.
Yeah, he was.
Very, very
and
cool.
he does talk about Lethal Weapon on that particular podcast, so I suggest everybody check it out.
Nice. Well, we didn't have any feedback this week, but if you do want to submit feedback, you can hear our podcast on any podcast player of choice. There are a bunch of them out there. Just find us, Panels to Pixels. It's Panels to Pixels podcast, sometimes just Panels to Pixels.
Correct.
You can find us. We're out there. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, check us out. We've got a website that's panelstopixelspodcast.com. We have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/panelstopixels. We got an email address. You can email us, panelstopixels1@gmail.com. That's panelstopixels1, the TO spelled out right there in the middle, and the number 1@gmail.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Panels to Pixels Podcast. See, there's a consistency there, you guys. You can find us. We're out there. Leave us some feedback, because we love to hear from you and to know, even when we hear from the people that don't like us. And we got one of those that I'm not going to read.
It was constructive feedback, and I enjoyed it. Thank you, Alan, for
yes.
sending that out.
Yes, thank you so much, and we do apologize for that. But next week we will continue our coverage with episode 5 of WandaVision season 1 and episode 2 of Snowpiercer season 2. We're working on some interesting little things. Maybe you'll hear some different voices with us next week if Mark and I can get the scheduling figured out. But I'm excited that Snowpiercer is back. I'm loving WandaVision. I can't wait to cover the rest of these seasons.
Exactly. And we have so much content for you right now. It's crazy. So where else can listeners hear us? Well, I could be found right here on Panels to Pixels, as well as sending out audio feedback to other podcasts that my friends do as well on their podcasts. So you can hear me on my other podcast called Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. And that podcast is all about those action adventure films, pure action films, suspense films, and anything that thrills you and get your adrenaline going. So keep in touch here on Panels to Pixels to get information, or just go to Pirate Core Entertainment Network's webpage, which would be piratecoreentertainment.com. And then you could hear those podcasts there. We could be found on any other podcast player of choice. So check me out there. I'm always here. And you can find Steve where?
I'm right here on Panels to Pixels. I send in voicemails to lots of other podcasts that our friends do. Sometimes when I don't forget, apparently I do forget sometimes, Apologies to Lost. We have to go back. Lost Revisited. Apologies. But yeah, you can hear my voice on various podcasts. I love guest hosting, and I love talking about TV and movies and everything else.
Exactly. So that's our show. And I just want to thank everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels. And we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.